Someone just asked me, what is my advice on making or marketing a product? So in this video, I'm going to walk through my thinking process when trying to create a product or service completely from scratch. Before we jump into that, if you're brand new here, I'm Ty. I work with businesses to build better sales teams, and I just love sharing what's worked for me. Hopefully something works for you. Now, there's quite a lot that goes into this, and just for the sake of the video not being too long, I'm going to split it up into about four sections. Sections will be know your prospect, know your market, know your service, and offer messaging. In this video, I'll start off by covering know your prospect. And for me, it's always come down to asking myself a series of questions to just make sure that I'm really clear on who I want to help and how I should help them. And for each of these questions, I just do like a big information dump. I put down all the ideas I could possibly think of, and then I start to organize from there. So to kind of jump right in, the first question I would ask myself is, what industry or type of customer do you know the most about? So I would write down every job I've worked, every type of customer I worked with, whether it was B2B, B2C, what type of product, what type of service, everything I knew about the type of people. Even any industries that you're just familiar with, you know, if you ever bought any courses, read any books, anything that you're familiar with or have some kind of knowledge on. Then I would take that list of all the types of customers that I'm familiar working with or have some knowledge about, and I would want to ask myself, okay, do they have money? How much money do they usually have? What are their margins if it's more of a business to business kind of product that I'm looking to do, and just map that out. So now we have listed out like types of people, money they have, margins that they're usually playing with, what problems do they have? I would list out for each type of person every single problem that I think they have. I might even do research and find out what other problems I didn't already know they had. Just look for all the problems, get them all listed out, all thrown down. Then once I have my list of problems, the next question I would ask is, of these problems that I have listed out, which ones happen the most frequent? Is it a problem that usually happens once, and once it's solved, they're good to go, they never struggle with that problem again? Or is this a repeating problem? Is it something they always have to deal with? For example, the problem McDonald's solves is you get hungry repetitively, very frequently, so you're constantly looking to buy food, you're constantly looking to eat more. Then once I have the list of problems, how often they happen, then I'd want to ask, which problem creates the most loss? Typically, a problem that's less frequent is usually a bigger problem, and the problem that's more frequent is usually a smaller problem. The goal here is to find a problem that happens pretty frequently and creates a good amount of loss to justify a decent price point. And that brings me to the next question I'd ask myself: what is a no-brainer price point to solve this problem? Remember, the more loss the problem creates, the more pain that problem creates for the customer, the more they're going to be willing to pay to solve it. Now, like I said, the problems are usually bigger when they happen less frequently, but at the same time, if that problem only really ever happens once, or it's just not a problem that's very common, it's going to be hard to sell it at scale. It's going to be hard to sell it a lot because it's just not something that a lot of people deal with. If we're trying to create a high ticket service with a price point in the thousands, the formula we're really looking for, like I said, is decent frequency, really good amount of pain, justifying that higher price point. And a really low ticket, it's totally fine to go super frequent, super low price point, like a fidget toy. How often do people feel the urge to like fidget around with something in their hand? For a lot of people, it's very frequently, but is it that big of a problem? Is it a problem worth thousands of dollars? Probably not, but they'd be willing to spend a couple bucks on a fidget toy, and you know, maybe eventually they get bored of that fidget toy, or that toy just doesn't do it for them anymore. So they want to buy a lot of those toys to kind of keep that itch away. At that point, if you're going like high frequency, low pain, the name of the game is volume. You want to sell a lot of them, just like how McDonald's wants to sell a lot of burgers, a lot of fries. Okay, so we got our price point. We know what's a no-brainer price to solve this problem. Now we just want to know, okay, how many of them are there? Are there really that many people struggling with this problem? Is this a problem that I could sell to hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people? Next question, are they in a growing or dying industry? Are there more of these people being created day by day? Or are people leaving this industry and slowly that market of people I can sell to is getting smaller each and every year? These people, where can I find them? How can I get in contact with them? Where do they hang out? What spaces are they in? If I'm doing a lot of social media marketing, are they predominantly on LinkedIn? Are they on TikTok? Are they on Facebook? Are they on YouTube? Where are they? Cool, we know where they are. How easy is it to target them? Is it really easy to get in touch with them? Can I get in touch with hundreds of them in a day? Can I get in touch with thousands of them in a week? the more of them I can get in touch with, the easier. If we can't get in touch with them, how can we pitch them? How can we sell them? How can we offer our service? So we need to be able to find them, and we need to be able to easily get in contact. Now let's take in their side of the deal. Am I doing a done for you product, which means everything is done by me for them? Or is it a done with you where, I got to do some stuff on my side of the service, you got to do some stuff on your side to make the service work? Or I just give you the information like a course and you got to do everything yourself to make it work and see results. What kind of product is it? Because we need to determine, do these people have time to execute? Do they have time, if it's a done with you, to put in their side of the bargain? Do they have time to execute if it's a DIY, do it yourself, and they just gotta execute everything on their own to see results? Do they actually have time to do that? If I'm trying to sell a do-it-yourself course to people that are super, super busy, they probably won't buy it. They'll probably just buy the done for you version of it, even if it's more expensive. What assets do they need to have in place to actually solve this problem? If you're selling a B2B service, do they need to have a business already? If you're running an agency that does lead generation, do they need to already have an idea of who they want to target? Do they already have to have a sales team in place to convert on the leads that you generate for them? What do they need to be good at to solve the problem as quickly as possible? You want to be able to jump in, help customers where that problem is solved ASAP. The quicker you solve the problem, the more you can charge for it, because a lot of people pay for speed. They're not paying for a service that takes 10 years to work. They're paying for a service that works now or works in the near future. So what do they need to be good at? For example, if I'm helping a business owner scale their sales team, it's a lot easier to step in and help a business owner who has great lead flow, tons of leads coming in, they're booking hundreds of calls a month, and all we got to do is make the current sales team better, versus the business owner who's barely getting any leads, and we got to first solve the lead problem, the call volume problem, and then we can start plugging in sales reps. And a similar question, like what stage of life or business does your client need to be at for each of the problems to be solved? Do they need to be ready to scale if we're talking B2B? Do they need to be ready to make a change if we're talking, like a lifestyle kind of thing? Do they need to be open to the type of product or service that you're offering, or can they be notified of it or identified to it the first time ever? Really, you just want to identify what state of mind, where does this person need to really be at in life to move forward with something like this. And I hope you didn't forget, we're answering these questions for every single problem listed. Answer them for all the problems. You're gonna have a really good idea of all the ways you can help, all the things you could do, all the services or products that you can have. I mean, that's just what I would do. You don't have to, but that's how I would do it. And for myself, I would put down, what are the consequences of them not solving each of these problems? Is their life actively getting worse by not solving this problem? Is their business losing money by not solving this problem? It's not always the pain of not hitting the goal that moves people forward. Sometimes it's the fear of the sinking ship. What damage is being caused by this problem sitting around, by this problem not being solved? And last two questions I'd ask myself, what are the underlying problems stopping them from seeing success with these problems? What's stopping them from achieving results and getting rid of this problem on their own? Why can't they do it? And when I say underlying problems, that's really just, what do they usually think the problem is? And then what is the real problem usually? Like, do they think their team just sucks, or are they just a really bad leader? What are the real problems here? And lastly, if they were to take a solution for these problems, how quickly would they need to see an ROI to be satisfied? For example, when McDonald's puts up a billboard, they're not expecting to see an ROI tomorrow. They're not sitting there looking at the numbers like, oh, we spent X amount of dollars on this billboard. We made X amount boosted revenue in the last 2 days. Oh, 5 days later, we didn't make all our money back on the billboard. Let's take it down. They're probably playing the long game. They're probably saying, we want this billboard to build awareness because we want to get an ROI on this years down the road. Usually the bigger the problem, the longer it takes to solve. So you want to find that good middle of a good price point solved in a decent amount of time that keeps the customer happy. If you gave me $10,000 to solve this problem, would you be happy if this problem was completely solved in 90 days? Would you be completely happy if this problem was solved in 6 months? Would you really need this problem to be solved in 30 days? Once I've answered all of these questions, like I said, I would organize my thoughts, and then I'd probably have a decent service going, or at least a really good idea of what direction I should go in when it comes to building a business or building an offer or service. And that's just the first piece. Like I said, that is just to know your prospect. Next, I would take it to step 2, which is know your market. I would ask myself a ton of questions around knowing my market. If you guys are interested in kind of seeing the questions I would ask myself on knowing my market, just let me know. I can make a part 2 and kind of dive into that. But like I said, for the sake of this video not being too long, I don't want to put all 4 pieces because then this video would be like probably 2 hours or something like that. But hey, like I said, that's just how I do it. That's what's worked for me. But as always, I could be crazy. So I guess you just have to try it out.